Thank you so much, Dr. Talesra. It's an honor and privilege to be here every time. And thank you for inviting me back and giving me this opportunity to present to everybody. So today my project, like Dr. Talesra just said, is on design thinking. So I will share my screen with you and then I'll start. So like I said, today's presentation is on design thinking. There'll be two parts to this presentation. The first part, I will explain the concept of design thinking and then the importance of design thinking. And at the end, I will share some projects and the resources that I have built for the project that my students do. So at this time, I would like everybody to close their eyes and think about all the wonderful things that have been invented or created, starting from maybe a wheel or a pen, a painting brush, a pencil on your desk, an eraser, and going to bigger things, think about the car, the airplane, the telephone, and the internet, and so many other things that we see during every day in our lives. So how does this happen now? So we take most of these things for granted. We think they were always there, but that is something that is not true. We know that somebody thought of these things and created them. For example, wheel was created to move things. And then people thought to move faster, they created or made a car. Then humans wanted to fly in the air like the birds. So they created the airplane. When they wanted to talk to somebody very far off, then they created the telephone. And then the internet has changed the world in many ways, as we know. But what is common in all of these things? Each of these started as a need or a purpose. So need and purpose are two things that actually start the making process. However, the purpose comes from empathy. As we all know, unless we feel something about something important that should change in this world, the purpose is not discovered or realized. And this is why the purpose has to come from that empathy. So empathy is the starting point of any invention or innovation. I will give you an example of one of the projects that happened this year to help you understand why empathy is so important. When my students are starting this project, they are presented with the rubric that I will share with you after a little while. But the first class that they have, the first hour that they get for the project, they sit in groups of 3 and they have chosen their own groups and they discuss their individual empathies. They are encouraged to discuss them with their group and then come up with a common one or one that all of them like. The 2 students that you see here, the third one is not in this picture, but these 2 students were discussing their individual empathies. But this gentleman here wanted to build something for his mother, who is not very tall and has difficulty accessing things in the kitchen cabinet, which are very high up. For us, it may seem like a simple thing. Why can't she use a chair or a step stool to access those things? However, these students came up with the idea that they will actually make a shelf that will rotate and come down to her level, and then she can actually put it up. It would have a handle that could take it up or down, and then in future, maybe make it remote controlled. This was a fantastic idea, and all 3 of them agreed to do this. But from our side, as a teacher, I was very impressed because in this one, they thought about the accessibility for their mother or anybody else who's in the same situation. The safety, because if something like this is built, it will be safer for his mother to access things. Instead of standing on a chair on a step stool, the cabinet itself would come down, and that she would avoid standing on those things to reach the things that she needed. And of course, it's an innovation. I always tell my students that this could be the start of a new venture because some of the companies actually started like this. There are so many other examples of empathy that I can share later on when I give you the examples, but this is the one that happened this year, so I thought I should share with you. Let's think about Uber. When people were finding taxis very expensive, but they needed to go from one place to the other, the empathy was make transport accessible and cheaper for humans. Uber was created. Airbnb, the empathy piece was the hotels are expensive. So two friends actually bought an air mattress and put a couple of air mattress and put them in a room in their apartment. And whenever somebody wanted a place to stay, they would come and stay with them, and they would provide breakfast and the air mattress to them. And that was the starting point of Airbnb. Many of you may know about the Sal Khan Academy. Sal Khan is a phenomenon and a legend. I find because his credentials are very, very impressive. He's an engineer from MIT and an MBA from Harvard. I don't think it's very common for people to have such an impressive resume. He was actually working in corporate after graduating, and his nephew wanted some help in some of the subjects. So he created videos and sent them to him. And then he realized that he could do this for a lot more people. Now, the advantage of Sal Khan is that he has every subject under his belt, starting from basic algebra to physics to management and everything in between, because of the degrees that he has. So he created the Khan Academy, which has become a phenomenon in this world. And the impressive thing is that all the resources that he has developed are free. And then Bill Gates actually saw him create this, and he was given a big funding. And even now, he is doing this with funding only. It is a free resource for every student that has YouTube can access those videos. He has also collaborated with the college board for SAT prep, for the LSAT prep, which is the lawyer entrance exam, and also for the AP courses that the students take in North America. Recently, he came up with another brilliant idea when Chat GPT and AI became big news. And he has created a system that can be accessed by students because he has all the material on his own website. So if a student asks the question, the AI will find the answer for the student. He has also created a platform where the teachers can plan their classes as well. He calls that platform Khan Amigo. But the point that I'm trying to come across is each of these and many more started from a point of empathy, which created the purpose for each of these entrepreneurs to create something that would be useful for the world. Now, let's look at the second thing for design thinking. Life is about, if I start from the top, it is about attempting something and then making a mistake, which may lead to a failure. But we always tell our students and we always tell ourselves that failures are not wrong things. Mistakes are not wrong. We should be taking risks. If a failure happens, we should learn from them. And after we learn, we make another attempt. We may make another mistake, another failure, learning, attempt, and so on. So it is like an iteration in life, or if we are trying to make something new, these things are will happen. And that is the other thing I want to teach my students, that mistakes are not bad, failures are not bad. They are just a place or a point or a situation where you can learn from those and attempt again. Leads to the iteration in the design thinking project, because that is what happens in every project that anybody is trying to build or create. They will have to go back and forth and start from the beginning sometimes, or just go and improve certain things. The last stage could be success or innovation. However, Demetri Martin, the left side is the book by Demetri Martin. He actually said something so profound that has stuck with me for a long time. Whenever somebody succeeds, everybody sees the initial point and the final point, and they think it was a straight line towards success. But as we all know with our experience, that it is not true. It is always an iteration, and it's not a very comfortable path to reach success. And that's why, if you see this picture, it says what people think it looks like, but what it really looks like. There are a bunch of iterations here, failures, mistakes, several attempts to go from the initial point to the last point. So to reach success is not easy. However, if we keep learning from our mistakes, it may take a long time, but one could succeed in doing that. And when all of these come together, that is when it leads to innovation. So what is design thinking? We talked about empathy, and at the end, I said innovation. It is a bridge between the two. So somebody feels empathy to do something for the world, or to improve something, or to change something, or to create something. And at the end is the innovation, and the bridge between the two is design thinking. The possibilities are endless, because if somebody has empathy and the resources and the will, the innovations can happen. It may take a long time, but it can happen. And design thinking is the process that can help people innovate in the way they want to. So empathy, purpose, so starts from empathy, then somebody finds a purpose to do something, then they innovate, and then followed by a revolution. When I say revolution, I want you to think about the AI and the chat GPT that we were just talking about. It has created a revolution. Google created a revolution. Microsoft created a revolution. There are so many things that have happened in this world that have created a revolution and have changed people's lives. So design thinking can start from empathy and can followed by and finally create a revolution in this world in the hope of making the world better. So I want to go through this definition of design thinking, which I got from this site, which is at the bottom here, and then go back to what we just talked about to review, because design thinking is a non-linear, and that is what I said here. It is a non-linear process, and then it is iterative, and that's what we talked about. That teams use to understand users. So understand users means empathy. Challenge assumptions, redefine problems, and create innovative solutions to prototype and test. But why do we need to instill this in our students? Design thinking is a very important skill in today's world. It is one of the global competencies. It is an important ability that our students should get, and it is our responsibility to help them understand this process and create something that they can be proud of. It also instills compassion, because when they are discussing this in their first class, they are actually bringing out their compassion and thinking about what they want to change in this world to make it a better place. That is an important uh, character strength that any human being should have. It also improves their cognitive and emotional intelligence, because they start thinking about not just the empathy, but also problem solving and creating and becoming aware of what is around them and how that can be changed or improved. So, the project that I developed some years back, when we got the design thinking lab, the design technology lab in our school with 3D printers and all the machinery that was useful for projects like this one, I implemented this project in my grade 12 class. I had wanted to do this, but we did not have the resources before that. And it was very, very successful. So last year, when the innovation grant was presented to the faculty, I I put in an application, and I was very fortunate to get it. And it really helped the students buy things, because previously we were getting the resources from other places. So now I will share with you the rubric that I give my students and how I go through that process. So if you see this rubric here, this is the rubric that was given to them this year, but I want to share the criteria here. The first one is empathy. So when they are discussing the empathy, I sit down with them, and the first class is only devoted to that. One thing the teachers need to be careful about is when students are discussing sympathy, they are actually sometimes discussing the product that they want to build. And I warn them about this. I say, we are not discussing the product, because the product will evolve later on. Today's class is only about discussing your empathy and coming to a common one, or the one that everybody likes. In the next class, they discuss the purpose and what the purpose is, and also the product. And then during the other classes, they design it. So first is the draft design, so that they can start making a material list that they need to order and buy. And then after a little while, they finalize it after refining all the parts of that design. Then the building starts at the end of the year. So they are also assessed on the authenticity, the planning, and the journal is a very important part of design thinking. And they are asked to talk about the iterations that they had to take, the iterations during the project building and designing. For that, they should keep a journal, or either record their meeting minutes or just record their meetings, because that will really help them talk about the iteration, to help the world understand that success is not a straight line, but it was iterations. They should talk about their failures, their mistakes, and how they went back and discussed to make it better. And that carries the 10% mark, because it is very, very important to talk about their failures and mistakes, to show the world, like I said, it's not a straight line, it is an iterative process. And then, of course, the collaboration and the presentation are important. But I want to talk about the next steps here. The next steps actually are very interesting for me as a teacher, because I want at least one of them to continue the project in their later lives, or keep thinking about such a project, not necessarily the same product, but something else, and make it big. Because each of the startups started very, very small. Each of the startup founders struggled very hard to reach where they are today, and then make it big. And for me as a teacher, that will be the moment of pride. I'll leave the screen for a few minutes for everybody to see the criteria. So I just want to go over some examples. Drone lifesaver. The empathy behind this project was a football team had gone into a cave, and the cave actually caved in, and the football players could not come out of the cave, and they lost their lives. So this group talked about this, and they said they wanted to program a drone who could go in areas like this cave, and first assess the situation inside. And the drone had sensors and cameras, and then it would come out or give the data on a computer which people could actually assess, and then decide if it was safe for people to go inside a cave or anything that could not be seen from inside before people went in. The other one was an escape room. The escape room was designed to help students just relax during a stressful day at school. However, because of COVID, they couldn't design it physically, so they made a simulation for this because we had gone online during those times. Another one that was designed by the drone was the delivery system, and this drone was designed to carry stuff to places. If there are floodings and medicines have to be carried, then the drone can be programmed with the latitude, longitude, and with the GPS. It could actually reach that place and deliver whatever has to be delivered. The other one, next one, was lake cleanup in China. The student actually wanted to clean up the lakes, and he had designed a whole structure which could suck up all the water with the dirt, and then filter the water and put it out from the other side, and then carry the dirt from the lakes outside. Again, this one happened just before COVID, so he again made a simulation to show how the system would work. This one was a couple of years back when we went back after the COVID, the automatic dog ball thrower. And it's interesting because this student also thought about his mother. His mother is not able to walk their dog outside for medical reasons. So he wanted to give the dog some exercise. He made this automatic ball thrower, which works like the ball is shot out of this mechanism, and the dog comes back and puts the ball back. So the dog is actually, instead of a person throwing the ball, the system or the mechanism is throwing the ball out, and the ball is brought back by the dog. So the empathy was how to help a dog exercise when the master is not able to take the dog outside for walks or make them exercise in other ways. This is from this year. So it is a plant pal, a self-watering plant system. When we go on vacation and we lock our homes, and if we have plants at home, it is a big problem to actually water them. So we have to ask somebody to come in to water them, or put some sponges filled with water, depending upon how long we are going for. So the empathy for these students was sustainability, and they wanted to design something that the plant could be watered by this mechanism, as you see on the left side. So if you see on the top, on the left picture, there is a bottle here, green bottle with water. The brown small enclosure that you see has a microchip, and also a valve which can take water from the bottle to the plant. The plant has a sensor. If you can see that black thing here, the sensor is connected to this whole system in the brown box, and the sensor assesses the amount of humidity in the plant, and if the humidity reduces, then the valve opens. It is programmed to do that, and the water can come in the plant. The students are actually in this picture, they are designing this one. And I'll show you a short video when they were presenting this, their project at the end of the year. I'll let you all see the pictures before I go ahead. If you notice here, their aesthetics, they made a small house for the system here, and they painted it. It looked really, the whole system looked really, it was very small and looked really nice. The second one, another one that was created, this was a prototype gravity battery. So this was the thing that the student has in his hand was created by 3D printing. And inside there was a system, a spiral system, that could bring up the stand with the motor, which is in the box below. So the box below has sand, and this tube has a spiraling system that could carry the sand up and put it here and then make it fall down like a river dam. It could fall down to create electricity. And it was a fascinating project created by these students. And their empathy was, of course, climate change, sustainability, how to create electricity with no water, nothing, and very clean energy system. So what I will now do is I want to show you a part of this video, a few minutes, so that, and then we can you can ask questions.